Okay, so in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the pros and cons of all these different cameras that I use to film my motorcycle trips. If you watched one of my previous videos, I kind of go into the details of each camera, and I think I take about 8 or 9 cameras in total. So recently, the local motorcycle club asked me to give a seminar on the different types of cameras, and I thought it might make a useful video for any of you who are brand new to filming and you're trying to decide which camera to get. So in this video, I'm not going to go into the specific features and specifications of each camera. I'm not going to compare the camera to like a competitor or anything like that. I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts on the pros and cons of using this camera specifically for motorcycle filming, what I do, okay? And so in this video, I'm going to cover smartphones, I'm going to cover action cameras, I'm going to cover 360 cameras, I'm going to cover mirrorless cameras, and I'm going to cover drones, okay? Now, if you don't want to watch the whole video and you just want to know which is the best camera to get, I recommend you get the 360 camera. If you only want to use one camera and that's it, get the 360 Insta360 X5. The X5 was just released just a couple of days ago. I think it fixes a lot of the issues that people had with previous versions of the Insta360 camera, mainly the fact that the lenses are fixed. If you crack this lens, you drop it or whatever, and you break that lens, your camera's screwed because you can't replace it. But now with the X5, they have a replaceable lens option. It shoots 8K, which is 4K in the front, 4K in the back, so it's good resolution. They seem to have done a good job of actually with the low light vision as well. The low light filming quality seems to have gotten a lot better. All those videos that you see, those marketing videos, are all bullshit because they're all heavily post-processed. But so when you film it, like, hey, it doesn't look like that. It's because they top level editors working on those things, but. Who knows, maybe, I've seen some videos on YouTube, reviews, and it does look actually pretty good in low light. So if you want just one camera only, get the 360. Because what you can do is because you can mount this to your helmet like this. Now obviously you're gonna have some kind of different mounting system, because I've actually seen people mount this like it sticks like right in their face like that. It looks so dorky to me. You're gonna want some kind of system where it mounts a little bit lower, but you can mount this to your helmet as well, just like any other action camera. But the best part about the 360 is you can stick it like on or actually even better than that, is stick it on a mount like this. This is called a small rig. And I can clamp this to my bike, and I can get all kinds of different angles with this. I can get it from the back, side, front, handlebar, taillights, low down, whatever. I can get all of that with just one camera and one mount. And then I can also mount this to my helmet. If I get a selfie stick, like one of these things, I can use this to film myself. I can make it look like someone else is filming me. If you're really clever, you can edit out the shadow, which is what I like to do. So this is a really versatile camera. I really recommend, if you're just gonna go with one, just get the Insta360, bracket like a mount like this, and then figure out some way to mount it to your helmet there. If you're only gonna go with one, that's it there. Okay, now, but let me talk about, I'll start off with smartphones. So this is the camera that everyone's got with them, right? We all carry smartphones with us. So this is probably gonna be the first camera that you might start to use and to start filming your rides. And the main benefit about this camera is the fact that you do always carry it with you, right? And the other thing too is that this camera has got a lot of different options built right into it. You can do slow-mo, you can do time-lapse, you can do macro, you can do all kinds of things like built right into this. And both Apple, Samsung, and all these smartphones makers have done a really good job of optimizing their cameras as much as possible. That's kind of good and bad though, to be honest, because what you get actually is you get kind of an iPhone, you get a phone look to your videos when you shoot with this thing. It has a very sharp, kind of heavily processed look to them. But once again, that's changing all the time too, because recently with the iPhone 15 Pro, I think it is, Apple allows you to shoot what's called log, and it's a flat color profile. It means Apple's not adding any processing to that. It just gives you a flat profile for you to do your editing yourself. If you don't want to mess around with that, no problem. You just turn that feature off, and then you're going to shoot without it. But if you do want to kind of mess around and create your own colors or whatnot, Apple does allow you to shoot with that flat profile, and it kind of diminishes a little bit the iPhone or the smartphone look to it, right? So that would be, in my opinion, like one of the main downsides of these things is that it has a distinct look to it. And if you're using a bunch of cameras, especially if you're using like a mirrorless or something like that, and in your edit, you're swapping back and forth, it can be kind of jarring for people who know what to look for. For most of the general audience, they probably have no clue. They won't notice anything. But if you like shoot it, if you like, you know, show it in a film festival or something, and it's like filmmakers in the audience, they're gonna be like, yeah, that was filmed with a phone, that was filmed with a phone, that was filmed with a phone. So when you notice it, it's kind of hard not to notice, and it's quite jarring to me. It is. Anyways, but if you don't have to worry about that, don't worry about it. These things are super handy to have because you have all kinds of different options with them, and you carry it with it basically all the time. So, and generally, there's no extra gear required. I have a little asterisk beside that because to really get the best footage out of these things, you do need to have some extra gear. And the main thing that I recommend that you buy is an ND filter. I use this kit from Polar Pro, and it attaches to it's a case, but it has an attachment for an ND filter that I can put on there. And I'll cover a little bit later on why ND filters are important. But let's just say that, you know, you don't need it, you absolutely don't need it, but if you want to try to get the best footage possible, then adding an ND filter to your smartphone filming gear is a good idea. But really handy these things are because, you know, they're so versatile. One thing actually to be aware of though with these things is if you mount these to your handlebars on your motorcycle, the vibration from your engine can kill the camera on here because the image stabilization on here can't handle the vibrations coming from your bike. So it'll kill it. And Apple and Samsung and all these companies have released press release saying, yeah, be careful with certain types of bikes. So actually, for me, that's why I carry two phones with me. So this phone here is just strictly my GPS. This mounts to my handlebars. I only use it for GPS. I don't care if this camera dies because I never film with it. This is my filming camera. This is the one that goes in my pocket, and so I never have to worry about, you know, vibrations of the bike or whatever. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like if you're gonna use just one camera and you're using one phone, and this is the phone that you're gonna, you know, film with. You're gonna call your friends and family. You're gonna use Gmail, and you're gonna do all kinds of stuff. And one day you might be like, you know, hey, I'm gonna take a picture of that. You launch your camera, and it's like shaking all the time because the vibration has killed it. So the best thing to do to avoid that is to buy a mount that has the vibration dampener built into it. The mount I use is from Peak Design. It works great. Quad Lock also has a mount, so you can help protect your phone as much as possible. Because let's face it, these things are not cheap anymore, so you want to protect these things as much as possible. So if you're going to use this on your bike, just make sure you get that mount. Okay, so let's move on to action cameras. So, you know, one thing I will say about these action cameras and these action cameras and these action cameras and, you know, even these phones and all that is that don't worry too much about getting like the latest and greatest. If you watch YouTube videos, you kind of get into that FOMO factor where you're like, oh my God, I gotta get the latest one because I want the best image quality possible. You don't really need that as much because one, if you're releasing this on YouTube and most of your audience is watching it on their phone, that means that the YouTube app takes up like a quarter of the screen of your phone there. So their screen is like this big. So you've got this camera or whatever that shoots in like 8K, but your audience's screen is like this big. They're not going to see the little tiny details that all those YouTubers like to show. They always like to walk around with like 4 or 5 of these cameras on one stick, and they zoom in like 800% to show you like, oh, that little leaf is a little bit more detailed than that leaf there, or that little flower is a little bit more detailed than that one. So you think like, oh yeah, maybe I should get that one. Your audience, when they're watching it on YouTube and the screen this big, is not going to notice that difference at all. And the fact is, you know, I bet most of you watching my films cannot tell the difference from when I shoot with this camera and when I shoot with this camera. This camera here is 1 year old, maybe 1 or 2 years old. This is the DJI Action 4. I believe right now it's the DJI Action 5 is the latest one. So this is only a couple years old. This camera is the Garmin Verb Ultra 30. This camera came out in 2016. That's really old. Even my phone, this is an iPhone 13 Pro. Now they're up to what, 16, 17, something like that? So I bet most of you probably couldn't tell. If I went and bought a brand new iPhone or I shot with this, I bet most of the audience can't, nothing against you guys obviously, but just the audience can't tell. So don't be too concerned about not getting the latest and greatest. Because if you chase the latest and greatest, well the problem is every time they come out with a new one, you feel like, oh my God, I gotta get the new one. You don't. Great films are not made with the latest and greatest cameras. Great films are made with storytelling and, you know, have an understanding of cinematography and all that other kind of good stuff, right? So, and the fact is, whenever they release one of these new ones, the old models become really cheap. So if you're just getting into it and you're unsure about whether you're going to ride, you know, you're going to film your rides or not, don't buy a brand new one. Just go on Facebook Marketplace, find like a GoPro 11 or something like that. GoPro, an older model one, or an Action 3 or something like that. And try that. And if it looks good, you like it, happy with it, use that until the new cameras have features that you think are useful. The image quality is it's not hard to make a good image, video anymore. Like the sensors and all that, these things are so mature. That market is so mature now that it's really hard for a camera company to not make a good video, right? But what you're looking at is features that are useful. Like for example, like I said, like in the Insta360, the X5 had interchangeable lenses. That's a huge feature. That's tremendously useful. That'd be the only reason why I would consider upgrading. This is the X2, right? This is the X2. I looked at the X3 when it came out. Nothing in there interesting me. X4, nothing in there interests me at all. The X5, now I can change the lens. That's pretty interesting. So just gotta keep that in mind. Is that you don't need the latest and greatest at all. You just need a camera that works for you, works well with you, and you're happy with and comfortable with. So what the hell was I talking about? Why did I get on that topic? I'm trying to make this video short because my seminar was like 2 hours. I'm like, I'm not going to release a 2-hour long video, so I'm trying to make this video short. How long have I been talking now? Ooh, already 11 minutes. Okay, so anyways, action cameras. You can read what's on the screen there right now. Very durable, weatherproof, great for all weather conditions. These things work really well as like a cam for your helmet there. You mount it on your helmet like that, and they work really well. They're weather resistant, weatherproof, so like it can rain, it can get wet, fantastic. What I do for audio for these things is I pair this up with the DJI, whatever this thing is called, DJI tiny mic thingy, whatever this thing is called. I'll put it up on the screen. This connects wirelessly to this. So that's really great. So I have no cable running from here inside my helmet. I don't have to worry about wrapping cable around my helmet like that. It's just all wireless. And so that way this thing is even more waterproof because I don't have to open any of the doors to attach a cable or anything. So this thing is really great. Downside about this thing though is it takes 21 seconds for it to connect to the Bluetooth in the camera. That's really annoying. I turn the camera on, I gotta wait, then it connects. That's annoying. That's a software issue. DJI could fix that if they want to. Don't know if they are or not, but it'd be great is if I could just turn it on and start speaking right away. The GoPro Media Mod is called. You can do that because the microphone actually plugs directly into the 3.5mm jack into the back of the Media Mod. So as soon as you turn the camera on, it's recording audio. That's really great. Unfortunately, it's not reliable. Like everything GoPro produces, it's not reliable. It doesn't work all the time. So this has worked for me all the time. You just gotta wait for it to connect, which is kind of annoying. But there's a billion audio options on the market. I'm sure you'll figure out whichever one you like. But yeah, action cameras are great as a cam because you can connect it to your helmet there, and it's weatherproof, and you don't have to worry about rain or anything like that. These are a good camera. Would I recommend this as like your only cam versus the 360? No, because this thing here, you have to position it to get the shot that you want. If you're going to position this on your bike, you have to frame it to make sure that your tire's not in the way or something's in the way or whatever. So it takes a little bit more planning to shoot with this. With the 360, you don't have to worry about that. So if you don't want to worry about the shot placement or anything at all, 360. If you do want to focus a bit on it, then this thing would be a good option. But I think both are kind of good. In terms of image quality, I think both are about the same. Let me just quickly talk about ND filters here. I'm trying not to make this video long. I'll talk about ND filter. You can see I got an ND filter on there. And I mentioned earlier about that kind of iPhone look. And the phone, I use an ND filter as well. And this is the main reason why you want an ND filter is that it creates motion blur. Without the ND filter, and these cameras set completely on automatic, if it's a bright day out, the shutter or the sensor has to turn on and off really, really quickly. Because if it turns on too long, it lets in too much light and it gets all blown out. This is what it looks like when it's blown out, right? So it obviously doesn't look good. So it needs to turn on and off really quickly. And that's how these things work, is that, the old cameras, remember those old cameras like, one of these ones, your dad used to have one of those, like this, click. Those things had a mechanical shutter that would open and close like this, and then the light would come in. These things don't have it. They just turn the sensor on and off. So what it does is it gauges the amount of light, and when it's really bright out, it turns the sensor on and off really, really quickly like that. And so what you get is a situation like this, where if you see me as I come in on the side here, I look very jagged, right? It doesn't look smooth. I'm coming in kind of jerky. That's because the sensor is going on and off, and it's capturing each frame really, really quickly. So to eliminate that and create motion blur, which gives you that sense of movement. So if you take a look at these two pictures here, you can see that the guy on top looks like he's going a lot faster than the guy on the bottom. Why is that? It's just because of the blur. The blur creates the illusion of speed. And so when we're riding, of course all of us want to look like we're, going really, really fast. No one rides a motorcycle. Actually, I've been surprised actually how many times I've ridden behind people on motorcycles and they're riding slow. I'm like, why? Why do you ride a motorcycle slowly? I don't understand that mindset at all. But anyways, we all want our bikes to look like we're going fast, right? So that's what the ND filter does, because what it does is it blocks some of the light, so it allows the sensor to stay open longer and capture more of the scenery as it goes by you. And as it goes by you, it creates blur, as you can see in this clip here. So you can see here, this looks like I'm going really fast, right? Because the blur, because I got the ND filter and it blocks the light. Without the ND filter, as you can see in this shot here, see this one was shot with a 360 camera. And the main downside about the 360 camera is it doesn't have an ND filter. You can't put an ND filter because of the shape of the lens. So it captures everything really sharp. So if you take a look at this shot here, the still frame from the video, it looks like I'm standing still. Whereas this one from my DJI, which does have a filter on it, looks like I'm moving, right? And if you play it, you can see that this one looks a lot smoother than this one does. So if you're going to buy any accessory for your action cam, even for your phone, I recommend getting an ND filter and kind of maybe study a little bit, learn about frame rates and shutter speed so you can get the best possible combination for the type of filming that you'd like to do. I'll say one other thing quickly about camera specs and stuff like that. I saw one person on like Instagram or Twitter or whatever posted something recently saying the best settings for your phone are 60 FPS at like 4K resolution or whatever. And I was looking at that there's no such thing as the best settings for your phone or the best settings for your camera, for the action cam. YouTubers love this thing. These are the best settings. These are the most cinematic settings. No, there is just the setting for the look that you want. If you're shooting in 60 frames per second and you're gonna edit that in a 24 frame per second timeline, well, that's gonna have a certain look. It's gonna actually slow down, right? If you're shooting at 60 FPS and you're publishing at 60 FPS, it's gonna have kind of a really sharp look to it. It's not gonna have as much natural motion blur as what you might be used to if you're watching Hollywood movies, right? So just keep that in mind. It's a lot of YouTubers that's a clickbait headline that they can put in there, the best settings possible. But the reality is that there's just the settings for the look that you want. If you want a certain look, you get those settings on your camera. So to understand that, you need to learn about frame rate, shutter speed, 180-degree rule, and all this other kind of mumbo jumbo, that nerds like me talk about, right? So you don't have to worry about that if you're just shooting automatic mode in your camera. It's not something you have to worry about. But if you do want to get into it a bit and kind of understand the benefits of having an ND filter and why you might want to set these things manually, that's the kind of stuff you're going to have to get into. So just keep that in mind. These people who say the best settings, they're just YouTubers. They're just trying to get you to click so the ad will play. Anyways, let me keep going on here. I got a little bit distracted there. So, okay, so yeah, so that's basically the main benefit of the ND filter. It just creates motion blur, and it can give your videos a nice smooth look to it. Even if you use automatic mode, it will create a little bit more motion blur. But if you understand how to set the shutter speed, you can create really nice smooth motion blur. And you could be literally going 20 kilometers an hour and make it look like you're going 200 kilometers an hour, because the blur will create that for you. Anyways, so let's move on. Oh, this video is getting so long already. 360 camera. So I won't go into this too much. I've already covered a lot about 360 camera. Basically, just buy the X5. I believe that this is X2. And like I just said earlier, you don't need the latest and greatest, but I believe that the X5 is a significant upgrade over the X3 and the X4, mainly due to the replaceable lenses, because they're expensive now. These things are getting expensive. I think they're almost $800 Canadian. So that's getting expensive. That's $5 American. But the X5 with a replaceable lens is great, because before that, you crack this lens, that's it, game over, right? So now you can replace the lens, good, I think it's worthwhile. If you're not into editing and you don't want to mess around with the cameras and you just want to capture some of your ride or whatever, just get one of these. Get one of these, you're all good to go. That's it. Okay, so I won't cover that because I've talked a lot about the 360 ones. Let's see here. Mirrorless cameras. Let's talk about mirrorless camera. That's what's filming me right now. So I can't show you that because that's what's filming me right now. Probably most of you, if you're a beginner, you're not going to buy a mirrorless camera, because if you do buy a mirrorless camera, then you're not a beginner. You don't need to watch this video. But basically, a mirrorless camera will give you the most control over what you're filming. It allows you to control focal length. It allows you to control color. Allows you to control light and all that kind of stuff. So you have full control over what you're filming. So an example might be like this shot here, like me going past this flower. So I was riding by here, I saw this flower on the side of the road. I thought, you know what would look cool is if I film that flower, I put the flower in focus, but I ride by in the background a little bit blurred out. So that kind of shot is really good with this particular camera here, because to get that shot with this camera is difficult. These things all have autofocus. So I might like tap on the flower to focus it, but then as I ride by, the camera might suddenly shift to me and then change the focus. I don't want that. I want full control over it. So that's what this camera is good for. So also has interchangeable lenses. I can change the lens, change the focal length. Basically, if you want full control over what you're shooting, this camera is good for that. The downside about these cameras are they're expensive, for one, and two is that they're not very rugged. They're not an action cam. This isn't a camera that you want to just toss in your backpack or toss in your top case, something like that. They're a little bit fragile. They're not as weather resistant as obviously the action cams are. So you have to be careful if you're filming out and it starts raining or something like that. And even though they're advertised as weather resistant, you don't want to be filming with one of these when it's raining. Whereas these cameras here, these things are all waterproof. So I've dunked my 360 camera underwater. I've ridden in a pouring rainstorm with the action camera on the front of my helmet, and like no problems. But if it starts like sprinkling a little bit and I'm filming with this guy, this thing definitely goes into my bag like really right away. So these things are great. They're a little bit more fragile, but they can give you some really nice footage when you use them. Okay, lastly, let's talk about drones. This video's getting so long already. I've recorded this 3 times now, and each time it's been about half an hour. I'm trying to get it to like 15 minutes, but it's already at 24 minutes. But anyways, let's talk about drones. So I won't go into too much detail about this drone because I've already made a rather lengthy video about why the Skydio is total garbage. So I won't go into that. But the main benefit about drone is the fact that it captures scale really well, way better than GoPro does. You can stick a GoPro on a selfie stick and like pan around and all that. It's not going to capture scale like a drone does. A drone is really great at showing your audience, this is where I am. So if you're in some really epic outdoorsy area, mountains, streams, whatever it is, and you want to showcase that whole thing, and actually that's kind of good what's called an establishing shot. So you ever notice in films and whatnot, if they're going to film the characters in a house or in a building or something, they'll show that house first, right? They show the house first, maybe then they'll go inside and they'll see like the living room and then the character sitting on the couch. So it's an establishing shot and then like a medium wide and a close up, etc. So think about that for your filming as well. Like when you're riding around and you see like some really epic looking scenery around you, yeah, it's tempting to just kind of like look around with your, your helmet cam there. But what a drone can do is tell the audience, hey, this is what this whole area looks like. And it looks fantastic. So that's really one of the main benefits of a drone, is that it's really good at creating that establishing shot. The second benefit is you can get, it gets you to follow you. And the drone, DJI has like the active track where you can just select yourself and it'll follow you around. I don't know how well it works. I've never used the DJI. But when it works, like, you can get some cool shots of it following you around. You can put it in front of you, put it beside you, put it behind you, whatever, and get that kind of like third person perspective of the camera or the drone following you around. I will say though, the downside is that, that doesn't always work, especially with the Skydio, which is total garbage. This thing is notorious for just completely losing me, randomly. Like it will be following me through some trees and it'll suddenly stop and decide to look at the tree. Or at the top of I was in the top of the world highway in northern Yukon there, and the drone just suddenly stopped. Just said, I'm just gonna stop right here. Or in Alver Desert in Oregon, filming me on this like plain white desert background, the drone decides to lose me and just stop. And the thing is, when you're riding your bike, you're not paying attention to the drone. Drone's like 100 feet up in the sky. So you may ride on and you don't realize that the drone has stopped. And then you're like, oh shit, and you gotta like turn around and go back and look in the sky and hopefully you find it. And hopefully you find it and connect to it before the battery dies, before it like falls out of the sky. So these things are great when they work, but they're not always reliable and they're expensive when things go wrong. Because if this thing falls out of the sky, You're lucky if it lands in like a soft bush or something like that. You're unlucky if it lands on concrete or it lands, you know, in the water. Then you're screwed. So just kind of keep that in mind with these drones, is that, you know, the marketing of these things does a really good job of letting you know, trying to convince you that it's foolproof, right? When the battery's low, the drone's going to land itself and it's got no problem. It doesn't always work, because if, yeah, it can land, but what if it lands in a tree, or what if it lands like on the side of a cliff or something, just like falls down or something like that. This thing is actually designed to land on the case. When I hit land mode, the camera points down, looks at the case. So it recognizes a symbol on the case, and it's designed to go down and land on the case. And as you can see in this video, it gets like a foot off the case and then suddenly shoots to the left and decides, I'm going to land like over here. So, you know, these things are not reliable and they're expensive. So just kind of keep that in mind about the drones. Is they look great when they work, yeah, but they're not always that reliable, and they're an expensive piece of kit to replace. Okay, so I think that covers about everything there. And yeah, last thing is just a bunch of accessories. You think motorcycling is expensive? You know, try getting into videography. The list is endless of all the stuff that you need to buy. But you can look on the screen here and see the kind of various things you need to buy. Actually, if some of you are interested in me making another video like this, giving you some filming and editing tips, just let me know in the comments. Because in my original seminar, I did include filming and editing tips. But that seminar was 2 hours long, and no one's going to watch a 2 hour long video, so that's why I pulled it out of here. But if you want to know about kind of filming and editing tips, I can put it back. But yeah, here's some of the accessories that I recommend that you get. Definitely recommend getting a good mount for your helmet. Don't get the chin mount. I've made that video before. The chin mount is garbage. This thing is by Motovlog. This thing is fantastic. It's super strong. I've had this thing on for years. This thing is like never coming off. Really great. Chin mount didn't even last. 2 of them didn't even last like 1 ride. Get some bike mounts. This thing is made by a company called Small Rig. Get some like these mounts that kind of like you can kind of like, I guess they're called flexible mounts or whatever. You can kind of change the angle. These things are super fantastic to get. Get a really good selfie stick. Don't use a selfie stick that comes with these things. That plastic one is garbage. Get a nice super stiff carbon fiber one. Get a mic and a dead cat. If you're going to capture audio, get like a good quality microphone like this that you can plug in, and get a dead cat if it's windy out. Even if it's like not really windy, you don't really feel it, but there's like a breeze, the mic will pick it up. So if you're outside, get a dead cat, because this will block all the wind noise and make your audio sound really great. Get some ND filters. Like I said, ND filters are fantastic for creating that motion blur. Get memory cards, backup drives, get some kind of storage system that you can store all this stuff in, carry with you, so that you're not having to like rummage through all your stuff every time you want to film. But yeah, hopefully you found that useful. I realize the video once again is like a 30-minute long video. I try to make these videos short, but there's just a lot of information to cover. But yeah, if you're just getting into moto vlogging and just getting into filming your rides, I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, just drop it in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them for you.